Oh boy. Ooh.
Play the music.
I'll just do this for now.
That's how the pros do it. It's gonna be the best intro to the whole video right there.
Crying. I'm very excited for this. Is the blind reaction you reacting to how long it takes for me to lose my mind because nothing's happening? I'm all hooked up on Mountain Dew.
Fix it in post.
I have no idea. I know gun too.
Did you expect this podcast to stay on topic?
No,
Or were you wrong?
For anybody who happens to watch or listen to this it's going to happen all the time.
Got to mute myself.
Now you sound good.
I muted myself today in my own meeting.
All right, Cash. I guess it's technically Trent Reznor.
That's not how he sings it.
That's true. Hold on. Haley.
Ba-da-da-da-da-da.
Lay down. Okay.
All right.
Does my beard look okay? Should I come in?
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Ready Viewer One podcast with John Boys.
And I'm Nick Johnson.
Yes, he is. Indeed.
Indeed.
It's a fancy sweatshirt you got there. What's that all about?
Like that?
Yeah.
Up all the way. Just a little jacket.
I like it.
Yeah.
Nice.
Maybe
Does
a little
the
foreshadowing.
carpet match the drapes there?
If you really want to see.
Nice. I wasn't sure being a podcast if you were going to put the pants on too or not.
You know what's funny? I had jeans on and I was like, no, I'm going to wear the jacket. I got to wear the whole thing.
Because, they're going to see it, which good thing you did because
I didn't expect you to say that. But yeah, there it is. I wore the whole thing. Just a little foreshadowing.
Yeah, foreshadowing, huh? Wonder what that 456 could mean.
Well, it's counting. It's numerical.
It's 3 numbers in a row.
Consistent.
Mm-hmm. Looks like something you'd wear maybe on the playground at school or something. Maybe in gym class.
Maybe on playground possibly.
Yeah.
With the other kids.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Just trying to make it
All
another
right, so let's
day.
talk about the squid in the room here. This is
Squid in the room.
Yeah. So today's episode is clearly about Squid Game. Hopefully you've seen it. If not, go dedicate 8-9 hours, however many episodes there are, to
super
doing
easy
that,
to
and then
watch.
come back. We'll wait. We'll be here. Go ahead. We'll wait. Oh, welcome back. How'd you like it?
I think I ended up binging it in like a day and a half.
Yeah, it was nonstop for me as well.
It was pretty easy.
Now, although we are 2 months late on making this at this point, this was...
Well, we have good reasons.
Yeah. One of them you're wearing. The other one I'm clearly not because it got lost somewhere between China and here. So...
Probably Korea.
Nothing good comes out of Korea.
North Korea. Well, Squid Games came out of South Korea. That's pretty good.
Yeah, I was joking. And Netflix now knows that I'll watch anything from Korea because it's all good.
Yeah. I started watching Hellbound, which is a new Korean show.
Nice. I've been watching My Name.
Half an episode, but
that's a good one.
I haven't watched that one.
And then there's There's a movie I mentioned to you a while ago, and I forgot what it's called now, but it's kind of like the Kate movie, but it's a Korean version where it's kind of like a female
Oh,
John Wick type of movie, and I can't remember what it's called now. But
you
it was
did
really
tell me.
good.
I forget. You told me about it, but I didn't watch it. But you told me.
Yeah. I'll look it up later and put it on the screen right here, and then we'll continue.
Right here.
Yeah. Just like in our first episode, Ready Player One, where I threw up the name of Rachel Lee Cook's movie that I was talking about, Antitrust, after the fact in editing. So if you watch this on YouTube, you saw that. If you got the audio only version, you miss out on some things. We really do some cool stuff on YouTube at Ready Viewer One.
Check it out.
Yeah. Where else can they check things out, Nick?
Well, we have pretty much all our socials are at Ready Viewer One. You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. That's right.
Oh yeah, ticking all the talks.
No butt shaking yet.
No promises. Yeah.
Yet. We'll see how much we have to pander, but we'll see.
Yeah. We'll see how open the bar is on that cruise next month. When there might be some special content going on.
Yeah. But yeah, check us out all socials. You can find we're going to be adding a bunch of stuff as soon. The further we get into this, the more we're going to be adding and throwing up there for you.
For sure. You're always hard at work and doing some cool drawings and stuff, and making some custom artwork. So
trying.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to see what comes out of this episode. It's gonna be a good one.
Yeah. I guess I got a plan on that, huh?
Yeah. So yeah, this is our Ready Viewer One podcast on Squid Games. If you haven't seen the show, goes without saying this is a movie podcast, and there will be spoilers.
Many spoilers.
Literally all of the spoilers. That's the whole point of the podcast.
Yeah,
it's
that's why we talk about it, is to spoil it.
It's what we do.
Just knocked everything over.
We find all the spoils and deliver them to you.
I literally just spilled my iPad as we were talking.
Spilled your iPad?
It just fell over and knocked everything over.
It is now a liquid. Yeah, it is a T800.
We're talking about spoiling things. And I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, cut that out.
No, I made a sweet Terminator joke. It stays.
Yeah.
I've got all the power being the editor. So,
all right.
Squid Games. It's a TV show. I almost said it's a movie, and it's definitely not a movie.
Well, interestingly enough, the original plan was for Squid Games to be a movie.
Yeah, that would have been a poor choice.
It would have been a poor choice, but it was supposed to be a movie, and then they decided, okay, let's make it a series, and that's when he started the director, whose name if I butcher any of these names, I apologize ahead of time. It's not on purpose. So Hwan Dong-yuk, again, he created right. The show. He created the show, and it was supposed to be a movie, but then Netflix picked it up. They fleshed it out, so that's when he started getting more into the games and everything that happens in the episodes, and that's when the whole side piece that's kind of thrown in there with Jun Ho, who's a police officer looking for his brother. That's when that was included into the script, which honestly still didn't need to be in the movie, the TV show. It seems like such a
it was a nice twist if I didn't see it coming in the first episode. It's like,
well, yeah, but I mean, you didn't need that subplot at all. But anyway, that's besides the point. So yeah, it was supposed to be a movie. That was the original plan.
It was it would have worked as a movie just because we wouldn't have known it could have been a TV show and how it could have been, But to take, I don't know, how many episodes were there that were
9
episodes between 30 and 60 minutes, and to cram that into one movie, it would have either had to be a 3-hour movie or a lot of things missing. It would have been a lot. faster resolution to things. A lot less sitting
Yeah.
around talking about backstory. It would have been, here's the 6 games. Much
Yeah,
quicker.
but I think it worked out well for the episodes because like some of the episodes built so much tension between what was happening or what was going to happen. I think that would have like it wouldn't have hit home as well if it was rushed.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it worked out well. It was a good choice.
Do you know what time it is, Nick?
Miller time. Hammer time.
Yes, hammer time.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Oh.
Uh-oh. I'm guessing I think I know what time it is. Let me
Yeah,
get
and
my
just
notes.
got to click around a bunch. And
You weren't ready?
well, I didn't realize it was going to take this long. It's usually a lot quicker, I swear.
Yeah,
Bacon time.
bacon time.
Sizzle, sizzle, sizzle.
All right, so
Are
who we got?
you ready?
Yeah, just tell me the names.
Elizabeth Olsen and Stanley Tucci.
Elizabeth Olsen and Stanley Tucci.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Elizabeth Olsen was in any of the Avengers movies with Chris Evans, who was in Captain America with Stanley Tucci.
Okay, then.
That was 17 seconds.
That was 7. That was 14 seconds.
Oh, 14.
Okay, so that's a fail on my part. So
I think that might be the biggest fail that you've ever received for this.
Here was my logic. Was one,
Okay.
I forgot that Stanley Tucci was in a Marvel movie, obviously. But I was thinking of Elizabeth Olsen when she was in Old Boy, because I was trying to think of like obscure movies, and then I was like, oh, she's a Marvel. I was like, well, that'll be the Gimme, the one that he can go to.
Well,
and I was like, oh.
So she was in Old Boy with what the hell is his name? Thanos.
Yeah.
She was in Old Boy with Thanos, who was in Avengers with Chris Evans, Captain America, Stanley Tucci.
Listen, I didn't tell you to solve it twice in 15 seconds each time.
Well, I mean,
but anyway, I just watched the movie with Kate Beckinsale and Stanley Tucci, and like last week or something. So that's why he popped up. And Elizabeth Olsen, I forgot that she started doing Marvel, because before that she did a lot, but it was all stuff that I don't know anyone else that's watched it all. So yeah, let me I'll come back to this.
You can't pick a major Marvel character and not have it.
It's not my fault they made 21 of these damn movies. 22, whatever they're at, Alec. Jeez.
Just saying. I mean, and I'd be surprised if they weren't in something together anyway. Have they?
Name somebody that wasn't in a Marvel movie.
I wasn't in a Marvel movie.
All right, Nick Johnson to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Let's hear it.
We hung out last weekend.
You guys are tight?
We're tight.
14 seconds. Jesus Christ. All right.
Yeah.
Let's do
Oh, we're doing another one.
Okay. Love you. Good night.
Oh, what is it? 9:30?
Yeah, must be. 9:32. Love you. Sweet dreams. Name an actor. Yeah. Ho Ying Jung, is that what you said? He will not be able to match him to anybody in America, so that's a good one. She said she tried to say the main character to Squid Game.
Oh, I have no idea what else he's even been in.
Exactly, yeah. Although the guy that plays with the Origami Pog game, he's in a bunch of movies, so...
Is he?
No. Well, they could be like Canadian or French or, anyone else that's popular.
They just can't be in... They can't just be in only Korean movies.
Yeah, they can't be only in Korean movies or something. They'd have to have done more.
And I don't know who the guy you're talking about, whatever he's been in. So
Yeah, he's the only person that I recognized. Maybe the guy with the tattoo face I saw in another one I was watching, but
is that really on his face?
no, it's makeup.
Could be real.
You say The Rock? Fine. Dwayne Johnson.
Oh, are you doing the connection thing?
Yeah.
Oh, I have a better one. Actually, no, The Rock. Yeah.
Dwayne Johnson versus Jack Black.
Oh, that'd be.
Jumanji.
Yeah, I go, Jumanji! Like they do to win the game.
Just save the jungle.
Spoilers.
That was my mic drop.
What was I watching where they're making fun of how his contract must say every movie has to take place in a jungle?
Yeah, I think it was pitch meetings. The pitch meetings always make jokes about it.
Yeah. Why were they in a jungle with redness? That makes no sense at all.
It's in his contract. It's
It
in
is.
his contract. They
so you
have
can
to
keep wearing that same beige outfit every time, khaki outfit every time. It's the one thing he wears that actually fits him. So it's too expensive to make more clothes.
Yep, there it is.
All right. For real. We just did him and we're only on episode 6, so let's do
Yep. There's only a couple actors in the world, so this is difficult.
yeah, it is.
There's only a few.
All right. Here we go.
Okay.
We are gonna do
Right.
Mike Myers and Jessica Alba.
Mike Myers from Austin Powers.
No, the other Mike Myers.
Well, I was joking. Wait, you mean like The Shape, Halloween Michael Myers?
No, I mean
Austin Powers?
Austin Powers, Mike Myers.
Why'd you say no?
Because there's no other Michael Myers. I mean, there's
I was
obviously
just
more
making
Michael
sure
Myers
you
actors,
weren't being
but
smart. I thought you were going to make a joke about Halloween, and then you actually threw me off big time.
well, good. That bought me 40 seconds. All right, so here we go.
All right. Anyway.
Episode 1 starts out with what's it start out at the racetrack?
Yeah, so
it starts out at home with his mom.
It starts out at home with his mom. He tries to go get money out of the ATM. Entering actually trying to enter like a birthday and stuff, which ends up being part of some fan theories about the main character and the old man.
Yeah.
Which we can get into a little later.
If we must.
But I think it's a pretty interesting fan theory. Should we just talk about it now real fast?
Sure.
So the fan theory is that the old man is hold on, I'm gonna read the character's name. The main character's name is, how do I say it? I'm gonna butcher it. Oh, Ji Hun.
Okay.
So the fan theory is that he is his father.
Yep, I too have heard this theory.
You've heard the theory before?
Yep.
So basically saying that if you remember, the old man said during the marble game, he was like, I used to live here. And Ji Hung was like, I also used to live in a town or like a building like this or a house like this or something like that.
Yep.
And then he was saying, he's like, my son's birthday is in a few days. And one of the numbers supposedly that he types into the ATM to get money out was his birthday, which I guess his mom would have used as a code.
Right. Yep.
So just, I don't know. Well, I wonder if they'll ever bring that up again.
Yeah, maybe in the second season that'll get resolved now that that character has ended his journey. But yeah, it was interesting.
I got it.
3 minutes and 5 seconds.
Hold on. Yeah. What's going on? Hold on. I do have it, but for some reason,
Timer's going
Mike.
until you start making
Okay.
connections.
So, Mike Myers was in Austin Powers with Seth Green, who was in Guardians of the Galaxy with Chris Pratt, who was in Avengers with Chris Evans, who was in Fantastic Four with Jessica Alba.
How do you keep pulling Chris Evans into this?
Well,
And Marvel. No more Marvel. Marvel's out.
Marvel is not out. That is not in the rules. I'm
That's literally
sorry
like
if
half
there's.
the movies for the past 10 years have been Marvel. That's not fair. Everybody's been in them.
Yeah, that's true. Thank you for making this easy for me.
So 3 minutes, 14 seconds.
Pretty good.
That's one of your best, besides that whole 14-second debacle.
Well, yeah. We won't point fingers at that one.
Good. Wipe those fingers off.
Oh, really? So anyway, what were we talking about? Oh, so
So yeah, he's stole his mom's bank card. He's at the ATM. He's putting in all these dates,
right.
and it winds up being his birthday. That well, actually, his birthday fails, doesn't it? Or
His birthday fails. It's his daughter's birthday.
his daughter's birthday. Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
And I think another time you can figure that out is when they're looking through the files. You see all the birth dates of people. And also, those keen-eyed of you will notice when he opens up the folder, it starts at 002 instead of 001, which is the old man's number.
I never noticed that.
Yeah, that I noticed watching it. Yeah, that's kind of a thing that foreshadows that he shouldn't be there, or something changed, or yeah.
So another thing about the old man was he had to have thrown the marble game on purpose. Like, he lost on purpose, because if you think about it, the next game was the glass bridge, and there's no way he physically was going to be able to do that game.
There's a magical net that only catches him and lets everybody fall 12 stories to their death.
Yeah, so there's no way he would have made that game. So no matter what. So I'm wondering if the Alzheimer's thing for that part was real or fake, because he had to lose. There's no way he could get past marbles.
I don't remember him milking the Alzheimer's when they're eating outside of that one restaurant, and it definitely comes in and out when he needs it to benefit him.
Which I didn't really think about until at the end of the series, when you find out that he was behind everything.
Yeah. He's also the only character they don't show actually dying, which was suspicious.
They also don't show him getting gassed in the beginning. You remember how
that I didn't notice. This is new information for me.
Everybody gets in the vans and you see them get gassed.
Yeah.
Well, for him, you just see him get in the van. He doesn't get gassed.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then also, do you remember when he starts screaming, "I'm scared, I'm scared"?
Mm-hmm.
What was that during? I forget what it was during, but like, that's the
one of the raids.
That's the only reason they stopped doing anything, is because he started screaming, "I'm scared, I'm scared."
It was when all the lights were blacked out, and there was the big mob war between all the different factions that assembled.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they didn't stop doing anything until he screamed that. So
which at that point I still didn't think anything of it. I was like, why would that's the only time the whole time where they've shown any empathy towards anyone, and I was like, that's really weird. I
just assumed it was like, it's an old man. I guess they were just like, all right.
Yeah.
But I think it's
I still didn't catch on at that point. With all the clues, I still didn't catch on at that point. So
no, there I don't remember what point it was, but I did at some point. I was like, oh, the old man's behind it.
Yeah.
And I don't remember why or what made me think that. It was just at one point I was just like, oh, it's him.
Yeah.
But Yeah, no idea.
It's one of those things where like where they do the zoom where they push the dolly forward while zooming out in the background like draws out.
Yeah,
The memo was like that for me where like the folder missing 001 and like all these things started popping in my head like, oh, it all makes sense. Like literally all makes sense now.
Yeah. I love that technique too. They use that a lot in Halloween.
Yeah, I forget what it's called, but yeah, it's
Yeah, they
classic.
zoom in as they pull out. Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah. So should we give a little background to what the show is just in case? I'm sure everybody knows, but created by Hwan Dong-hyuk, took 10 years to get picked up. He was consistently said no to by actors and studios and people who could possibly make this.
Yeah.
Starring Lee Jung-jae. Again, I'm going to butcher these names. Park Hae-soo and Wee Ha-jun. I just looked at the top 3 names. So that was Gi-hun. That was also who's played by Lee Jung-jae. And then Sang-woo Park is played by Park Hae-soo. And then Wee Ha-jun plays the police officer Jun-ho.
Yeah.
So, and the girl whose name I can't remember, it was her first acting gig.
Was it?
The main girl in the Squid Game with like the shortest hair. That was her first acting gig. So
which,
again,
now she's like a huge star. Everybody, her social media is blowing up. Everyone's
great. She was so good in it.
Well deserved to get all the attention too. Like
yeah,
she was awesome. Really well done.
Oh yeah, awesome. So South Korean TV series. Oh my God, South Korean TV series. Basically, it's about a group of people, hundreds of people, all with financial issues. They need money, like we all do. They're invited to participate in children's games with a lot at stake that they don't know about.
They come into this being told, come play games, childhood playground games, and we will give you money if you win.
Yeah, so it does say in the contract they sign, it says until eliminated.
Yep. They use the word eliminated a lot.
Yeah, little do they know the word eliminated literally means bye-bye, no more.
Yeah.
Which is, it becomes very clear when the first game happens. Red light, green light. Yeah, with that giant robot.
Snipers pop out of the top, like,
oh my God. Funny thing about that robot. So that is a real doll, like a real robotic doll that you can visit in Seoul, South Korea.
Yeah.
Apparently it's they borrowed it, then they returned it. I don't know how true this is. I read this in something when I was researching. So
that's
apparently the doll is a guard to a horse carriage museum.
Nobody is gonna fuck with that place ever again. Nobody's going to the horse museum. Like, oh, it's after hours. I'm gonna take this block over here and I'm gonna take the scenic route. I'm not walking past that.
Yeah, and a horse carriage museum. Why is that?
Can you imagine people on vacation watching that in their hotel and then be like, oh, let's go to the museum today, just walking and seeing that there like in front of them? They'd be shitting bricks. Like they would be losing it. Like,
yep. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. That's a horse carriage museum. I don't understand why.
Wow. Pretty sure that's trademarked and we can't use that, but
you can't say that. It's an homage. It's an homage.
Wow. For sure.
What were we even talking about? Yeah, so the players don't realize that the game is, so if they mess up and they lose, they die. So it becomes very clear after the first game of red light, green light, in the very first, which is probably, that episode is so good. Yeah. It's one of the most ridiculous. I guess is it technically a pilot if they just release everything at once? I guess no.
No, because a pilot would be something that.
Yeah, it's like supposed to be like a way to get it sold.
Yeah.
To like a studio or something. So, well, either way, it's the first episode. And it's one of the craziest first episodes of anything I've ever seen in my entire life. How
Yeah,
many people
it's
die in that first game? Like 200 something?
it is an obscene amount. So before this, my all-time favorite opening to a TV show was Banshee.
Never saw.
This podcast's over. We're done.
You know this. You know I haven't seen that.
And I've been telling you for 10 years to go watch it.
Well, I haven't.
Probably more like 5 or 6. I don't know how long ago it was, but yeah. So Banshee, it opens up with a guy getting out of prison and going to a bar. And he's sitting there. There's a bartender, and then there's two gentlemen, we'll say, at the bar drinking, sitting next to each other.
Right.
So he's sitting there minding his own business. The one guy is a sheriff, and he hears him talking to the other guy saying he just came into town. He came in a day early because he didn't really have anything anywhere else to be. He's kind of got some family troubles, so he's moving to a new town, new start as the new sheriff. Nobody knows he's there. He's there a day early. The other guy, I guess it's just like a tough guy, starts making trouble with the bartender. So the sheriff steps in to defend the bartender and everything, and he goes, stop. And as he holds up his hand, you hear a gunshot, and there's a giant hole in the hand, and through that you see the other guy, and it's just like a craziest opening scene with that, and then the battle between them, and yeah, it's just that scene just stuck in my mind where you see through the hand after the shot and stuff. And long story short, the guy that just got to prison and the bartender win the fight kill the other guy and take care of the body, so to speak. So now they're in cahoots. And then so as they're burying the bodies in the field, he takes the gun and the badge, and so now the convict is now the sheriff of Banshee, Pennsylvania. So that's what the whole show starts out as, and it's him trying to assume the sheriff position
role.
without anyone knowing. And it's a really good show. So
one day I'll probably watch it.
I will duct tape you to a chair and force you to watch it. I'm talking toothpicks in the eyes, like in the horror movie. Like you will watch this.
That's pretty intense. Okay. That was a tangent alert. So
yeah.
That was a tangent.
Anyway.
So red light, green light.
Definitely one of the craziest intros to a TV show. Like you said, hundreds of people dying.
So visually, pleasing, like the colors, like it was so bright and vibrant. Like it shouldn't work, I feel like, but it did.
They're playing it off as kids games from the 70s and 80s. So everyone's in there, bright colors on the walls, and it's crazy. A lot of people stopped watching the show at that part because they aren't a fan of that type of film. So yeah, a lot of people refuse to watch it when there's any type of violence in it and stuff like that, which is fine. That's their prerogative. But if you're someone who's into film and how they do things, like it doesn't look like a low quality film with bad, squibs and stuff. It looks like a really well done, well acting, well done props, and
I'm pretty sure they had a pretty good budget for the show.
Yeah, I don't know what the budget was. I know when Netflix bought it after it was already done, they paid $21.4 million for it.
Crazy.
But,
the show went on to so the show after 28 days of premiering had 111 million viewers, making it number one, the most watched original Netflix show. But because of how popular it was, made almost $1 billion worth of publicity for Netflix.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah. It's crazy. I think it's still in the top 10 on Netflix.
Yeah, it's at 10 right now. I was looking last night for something to watch, and
Me too,
There's
and I
that.
saw it. It was number 10.
Yep.
I ended up watching Tick Tick Boom, which I'd like to talk about at some other point.
I added that to my list. I know to watch it.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so 456 people. Each person's life is worth 100,000 won, right?
A billion. No.
Billion, right?
Yeah. It's not a billion. It's 100 million.
Yes. 100 million Korean won.
Yeah, Korean won.
Which is 83,916 US dollars per player. So as a player dies, the money awarded goes up.
That big piggy bank.
Oh yeah. So the total 45,600,000,000 Korean won is $38,265,000, $265,948. So even with the exchange rate, that's still almost $39 million US.
Like that's crazy. Yep, I saw that too. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, that is crazy. So in the first episode, they do the red light, green light. People start dying. People start freaking out, turning around to run, and that's where a lot of the deaths come from. Just people freaking out.
Mm-hmm.
You see piles of bodies from them, running, dying, and falling, and then momentum. Everyone's falling into the pile. Yeah, it's definitely insane. And then when they get out, that's when they're all like, "We got to quit this." Yeah, and then they drop the piggy bank down, start filling it with money.
Yeah, but they end up voting themselves. They end up voting to stop playing anyway.
Yeah.
We got to show when you edit, you got to put a picture of the real life Squid Game.
The
doll.
board of the doll.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we'll throw some pictures of the museum and everything. Let me pin you there. This one's gallery view. This one's active speaker. Both are recording. You can hear me good? All right. Yeah. All right. So they drop the money bank. They say, "This is crazy. We can't do this anymore."
Yeah. They start filling up the money.
People are dying. This is insane. Okay. Well, you can all get, what was it? $10,000 or whatever amount they give them to leave now.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll stop playing here. But it has to be by majority vote. This is a democratic game. We can't stop you from wanting to stop playing. We'll put it up to a vote.
Right.
And so, as with any suspenseful drama, it gets down to the very last person, which is...
And it's like tied even.
Yeah, dead even. Comes down to one person. Little old 001 comes up, hobbling to the thing, looking at both buttons, looking at the people, trying to figure out what they want. At this point, we're just like, he's gonna play because he knows he's dying either way. He just wants to play.
I completely thought he was going to be playing.
Yep, I thought they were gonna be like, "Screw you guys, let's party." Boom, keep playing.
Screw you guys, I'm going home.
Yeah, but no, he decides, you know what, people don't want to play. We'll cash him out, send him home, and leave it at that. And that's what he does.
Which was the first swerve that this guy, like, they were trying to make it obvious, like not look like he was part of it, I guess.
Yeah.
Like,
which he runs the whole thing. He gets to choose whether it goes on or not. So it's
yeah.
They say there's 6 games talking about the kids' games, but really there's more. There's this where this is a game. Are we going to live or are we going to die? There's, are we going to team up here or are we going to die? That's basically another game. Like, there's side missions to this quest. So they throw it up to a vote. Yeah. After the dramatic dropping of the piggy bank and then all the money dropping in, saying 100 people have died, so now it's up to 100 million won, and they drop stacks of 10,000 won into the piggy bank, and they're like, oh, that's a lot of money, but still 50-50 vote comes down to the old man. He says, let's let him go home and think about it for a little while.
Right.
And that's what they do. So they all get dropped off close to their house. Some of them in the middle of nowhere with a convenience store. Yeah. So they stop the game. They go home. They have some time to think about it.
Which also, not to interrupt, I'm sorry. Like the fact that the second episode was they were already out of the game completely hooked me. So I was like, wait, this is only episode number 2. There's 9 episodes. How are they already out of the game? What is going to happen?
Yeah.
Like it totally hooked me. It was like the perfect thing they could have done.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's not something that it's twists and turns. They kept you guessing. It wasn't something where you just it wasn't something where you just knew what was going to happen each step of the way. Like, yeah, obviously it's called the Squid Game, and they're going to play the Squid Game at some point. But like you said, the second episode, you're starting back outside the game. It's like, well, do these people just go away and they start with a new cast? Like, clearly they got to get back in there with something to.
No idea.
Do they just start playing it in the streets? Like, it was up in the air on what could happen next. So
yeah, it had me hooked.
Yeah,
it's and sinker.
It's nice how they mix in some of the outside world to it. This is where they do character development, where you get to meet the best friend's mom from school, and then
you learn more about Ali.
Yep. Yeah, we kind of glazed over, but he actually knows one of the players in the game from school, and he was just talking to that guy's mom the day before, saying, "Oh yeah, where's he at?" And his mom's like, "Oh, he's in America making money as a investment broker, or whatever he was doing. I forget what it is, but he's making all this money. He's rich. He's doing all this good stuff." And then it turns out that he's in hundreds of millions of dollars of debt, and that's why he's playing the Squid Game.
Whatever it is.
So yeah, he's getting like shell shocked. Like, wait, you're supposed to be super successful with all this money, and you're here begging for money like we are. Like,
yeah. So yeah, Ji Hung and Sang Woo are the two that are friends.
Yeah,
or know each other.
Everybody in this game is in debt for one reason or another.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we glazed over how he was stealing that money so he can go to the racetrack and bet on horses.
Well, yeah, that's how we learn about Ji Hun in the beginning of the show. Like, he's a gambler. He's got money problems. He's unreliable. He can't hold a job. He's not a good parent. He gives his daughter a gift without knowing what it is. It turns out to be a lighter gun.
Yeah, he wins it out of a crane game. So he's at the racetrack. He wins 10
a lot.
100,000 won, gives a 10,000 won tip to the lady. Then as he's leaving, his bookies come up and jump him and beat him up and take all his money.
Runs away. Well, actually, he runs away, doesn't he? And doesn't he lose it to what's her name?
Does she? Oh yeah,
she takes the girl from the game. The girl who we were just talking about, who is awesome on the show. He runs into her, and she takes his money.
Yeah. So he sees her later in the game because she's also needs money because she's a hustler and stuff out there pickpocketing from people. But yeah, so he wins the money. Then his bookies come after she robs him, so he doesn't have the money. They beat him up, make him sign the contract to join the game. Then as he's like leaving the horse race place, he has to beg the cashier for the 10,000 won tip back, which is
her $10 or something.
Yeah. So he uses that to take his daughter out for her birthday, where all she wants is fried chicken. Instead, he gets her noodles and then wins her the prize out of the crane game, which, like you just said, he has no idea what's in it. They open it up and they think it's a real gun. He's like, yeah, for protection. And she points it at him and pulls the trigger. Like, it's the flame. It's like, what if she just shot him? Like, okay, show's over.
Did you notice the box the gift came in was the same looking box as the coffins for the players?
Yeah, it's a black box with the pink ribbon or whatever the colors are. We're both colorblind, but we make assumptions.
Yeah, I think it's black and pink.
Yeah, I didn't notice that either, but watching, some of the review videos and stuff, they pointed that out. I was like, oh yeah, you're right. Yeah.
So he's not the best.
Yeah, he's not a good person. So in the first
But he
episode
is
you
a
kind of
good
see
person.
him. Well, I beg to differ, and we'll get to that.
Oh.
But
Well, okay, yeah. I mean,
so the first episode they go over his background. The second episode they're going over
other
like you
people.
said, the guy with the tattooed face, the pickpocket girl. They're showing what they are really like and what their lives are, where
Mhm.
they're double crossing each other and they're know each other from other walks of life and stuff like that, where you just see more
Actually,
about people. You
yeah.
see the guy that doesn't speak Korean very well, the guy
Ali,
with you see his wife and his kids, and he's
they're
just trying to
struggling.
get money to take care of them, and yeah, it's
Funny thing I
intense
read.
backstories for everybody.
Funny thing I read about that scene where she takes his money, but I meant to mention this. You can tell if you're watching the episode after they knock each other over. Ji Hung goes back for his drink to pick it up that fell on the ground. He wasn't supposed to do that. So you can tell the girl, her name is again Kang Se-book, I think. Her name's Jung on the show. But you can see her like turn her head like she's trying not to laugh. Because like he wasn't supposed to come back for the drink. He just did it, the actor. I thought
Yeah,
that was funny. Anyway, yeah, random.
it just plays towards his character, a drunk who
He's getting a lot of praise for his performance on the show and making him like have like human characteristics, like
yeah,
bringing humanity to the character.
yeah.
He's good.
Yeah, like the memes of they take screen grabs of him when he's walking through the thing. First picture, he's like, it's like your first day on the job, and then it's like him like in battle, like and your second day or second week on the job or whatever.
Yep.
A lot
I've
of
seen
memes
that
out of
there.
this show for sure. I mean,
Mhm.
we're a month or two out, and it's still very popular.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, they're out. Gives us a chance to do some backstory, and then how do they wind up getting back in?
They go back to where they got picked up, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to think if they get another card or if somebody calls the card.
I don't remember. What I don't remember. I don't think I realized what happened when it happened on the show. It's just like, oh, okay, they're back in the game now.
Yeah, the problem is we watched this the week it came
A
out, just
while
like
ago, yeah.
everybody else in the world, and yeah, we didn't do a rewatch. It's memory games.
So when they get back into the game, they all decide that like maybe it's worth the money. And I don't know if everybody gets back into the game, but like a lot of players come back.
Yeah, not everybody comes back. Basically, everybody that voted to stay in comes back. So yeah, after they get released, he goes to the police station to tell them they got to track down this building. These people are crazy. They're killing people. And everybody just thinks he's drunk, complaining.
Yep.
Except for one detective who hears this and then is intrigued and starts, following our main character around. So, Jihan can't convince the police. This one detective's like, all right, let me see what's going on here, and he starts to investigate and following him.
Right. Because he's looking for his brother who hasn't seen in a while.
Right. His brother disappeared a while back. I want to say maybe 5 or 10 years. I can't remember exactly, but he hasn't seen him in a few years. He just disappeared. It was strange because his rent was paid or something. I forget. There was something that didn't add up that made him.
Right. His rent was being paid.
Right.
Or it was paid ahead of time or something like that.
Exactly. So he knew something was up to where it wasn't just he ran away or whatever, police try to do when they don't care about investigating stuff. So yeah, he starts following the people around. The people start showing up to the original drop locations to get picked up again, to go back in.
Yep. Well, we skipped the part where when he's looking for his brother, he goes to his brother's apartment and he finds the Squid Game card there. Because remember,
which matches the one he saw on the desk at the police station.
Ji Hung showed him his card. Yeah.
Right.
So he knew to follow him.
Right. Yeah. So as they're all getting picked up, they get gassed again in their vans. He stalks the van in his car, traces it to
Right.
the ships, and this is where you actually see people how it all works behind the scenes. So he sneaks his way onto the ship. He kills a guy because that's what cops do when they're investigating something. Steals his clothes and chucks him overboard. I mean,
That's what
very
I'm saying. We did
very
not need his
police-like.
story. This story was such a waste of time.
Yeah. And once they introduced his brother as being missing, and then the thing about it being paid for, I was like, oh well, he must be one of the red suit guys or something. And then I think at some point I just realized it'd be more to the plot if it was the main bad guy was his brother.
I figured
else it
that
would've
out
been,
pretty
a waste
quickly.
of time. So
I was like, oh, it's the bad guy. It's the main guy, the front man.
Yeah, that's and literally
he hangs
his name.
phone up in a very specific direction.
Yeah. Well, when you have OCD, you notice when things are not the way you leave them. Ask me how I know.
think we know.
I would 100% know if somebody rotated my phone a quarter of an inch if I set it down the same way every time as I do.
Oh.
I would have assumed it was our big ass dog that knocked it over, but yeah.
Yeah, that is a possibility.
Yeah, so now we're back on the ships going to the site. Now the detective's
Episode
involved.
3.
Yep. This
so episode
one
3 was a fan favorite, I feel like. Well, we haven't talked about the guards yet.
Yep.
Because I feel like they start to play a more important, they are a big part of the story, but you start to understand them more in episode 3 once the cop starts like infiltrating what they do. Number one,
so
I want to know what phone he has because his battery lasted way too long. All right, he was like recording things and using the light and taking notes and everything.
So here's the thing.
Heck of a battery.
The whole show lasts 6 days. Okay. If you're only using your phone to record 30 seconds of video and then not using it any other time, your battery will last you that long.
I guess.
If you're always turning on your phone and using it like we do, I mean, then it's going to die in a day. But if you turn it on, do what you got to do, turn it off, and it's only running 30 seconds a day over 6 days, it'll last 6 days.
I guess.
Don't get hung up on the small details.
Well, okay, fine. But either way, so he starts to infiltrate the guards, and we learn what their PlayStation masks mean.
Yep. Each one's got a ranking.
Yeah, each one's got a ranking. So they have the 3. They have the triangle, square, the circle. Mm-hmm. The square are like the lead guards. All right, they're like in charge of the other ones.
Yeah.
So that the soldiers have the triangles on their face. They're the ones that are mostly in the game, like shooting all the people, like, especially during this episode when they're breaking their sugar cookies or whatever they're called, honeycombs. And then the circles are the guys who are like the workers. They're like downstairs, they're moving the bodies, they're putting them in the coffins, they're cleaning up. I thought that was kind of cool. And how all look, it's like an ant colony. That was the plan. It was supposed to be like an ant colony where they all kind of look the same, but like there's little features that kind of differentiate them as to their role within the colony.
Yeah, and it plays off as if none of the workers know each other. You also get the feeling that they were also kidnapped and just put into this worker thing. So it makes you think like, oh, if I would have got a different card, I would have been a worker instead of a person. Because spoiler alert, yet again, they kill the workers if the workers don't follow the rules.
If they talk.
Yeah,
if they talk and stuff.
If they talk, if they show their face, if they give any player an advantage in the game. There's all these different rules for the people too.
And they definitely make examples out of some of them, especially with the doctor and stuff.
Right. So this is what's most surprising is that the detective just got to be like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing here. Like, no, you were in the meetings where we all talked about this, and it's like,
yeah,
So they definitely took some leeways with his storyline and letting him
'Cause
live.
he didn't need to be there.
Yeah.
He was a MacGuffin of the show. He moved the plot forward, but he wasn't really necessary.
Yeah, this is true.
But
Yeah, so
yeah,
he infiltrates. The main lady decides to try to figure out what's going on. So she decides, to make a plan with the crazy lady to go to the bathroom. So one of them will keep lookout, which it's just funny and crazy the stuff that's coming out of her mouth as she's trying to distract the guards and stuff to keep them from coming in the ladies' room while our main girl goes up into the vents. While she's crawling, she sees them making these cookies. Like you said, they call them honeycombs. So she's trying to figure out what's going on. Nobody really knows. Then we find out that there's a doctor that's playing who seems to know everything before it happens. Seems to have some insider information.
yeah.
Yep. So I think this is also the episode where we see him disappear for a amount of time, and then we actually see where he goes, and he winds up down in one of the dungeons where him and a group of other workers are taking bodies and harvesting the organs to sell them to make money on the side. So not only are they doing bad stuff by just killing people left and right, they're also just, if people don't fully die in the game, they're still alive, they have a heartbeat, the organs are still good, they rip them out and ship them off. Like, it is gruesome. And it just so happens that the detective's job at Squid Game is to sneak these bodies out and scuba them to the ship. And they just believe that he forgot to show up one day. Like, yeah. So the dead bodies they throw in the furnace because that's the easiest way to get rid of them. Yeah.
The organs they ship. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So they're trying to do a side hustle. So they show that in episode 3. They show them doing the cookie game. Then they all are trying to figure out what it could mean with boiling water and sugar. So the actual contents of the cookie is 20 grams of white sugar, 10 grams of water, and you just cook them on fire and it becomes a syrup, and then you press the shapes into them as it's cooling. So after you get the syrup, you add 1 gram of soda powder and continue mixing, and then you pour the syrup out on oil paper, wait 4 seconds, and then that's when you press it flat and use the cookie pattern shape. So super easy to make. You can get the kits on Amazon. Super easy to make though, which was surprising. That it was literally water, sugar, and baking soda. So
sugar, sugar, water, whatever.
Okay.
So in this episode, they all have to pick a line. They don't know what it means. They have to pick a shape.
They line up behind doors, right?
Yeah, and then it turns out that they get the honeycomb in that shape, and the whole point is they have to cut out the shape with a needle.
Yeah.
Without breaking the actual shape, which a lot of people don't do. It's another massacre.
Mind you, these are games from the 70s and 80s, so they're 50-year-old games. So majority of the participants don't even know what the game is. The old man tells their group of friends, 5, 6 people, that, oh yeah, this is the game where you take the needle, you scrape it out, and if it breaks, you lose. So then, everybody starts catching on as the older people that do know the game start playing it. Mm-hmm. And the circle's the easiest, then the triangle, where the triangle is easiest, then the circle, then there's the star, and then the umbrella, which everybody dreads, and everybody else assumes those people are all just dead because it's impossible.
Yeah, so the one guy who was the girl or the guy with the tattoo face have a lighter. The girl does, right? She has a lighter.
The girl has a lighter, yep.
So that helps her. She heats up the needle, kind of goes through the honeycomb a little easier. Yep.
Cuts it a lot easier, yep.
Ji Hung has the umbrella, and we're like, oh my god, they're gonna kill off the main character in the 3rd episode. But he realizes that you can kind of see through the honeycomb. He's holding it up. He's like, so he starts licking it to soften everything up.
Yep,
Which
dissolve
a lot of
the
people, yep,
thin parts.
a lot of people start following suit.
When they're lining up, they don't know which door to choose, so they are kind of like, you pick, and they're all picking at random. As we mentioned, the doctor knows, and so Jihan's friend, high school or grade school friend,
They never say it, but I think he figures it out.
He knew which one to go to. That's why he told Jihan which one to do, because he knew he'd have the hard one and he'd get the easy one.
Yeah.
So yeah, they do go over that where they just keep painting this guy as a horrible person, and Jihan's just oblivious to it and like, oh yeah, no big deal. We're friends. He would never, he's on our side, but he's definitely not the entire time. He's just one thing after another. No, I'm looking out for me. You guys are screwed
Until the end. Yeah. So I actually wrote down in my notes. I was like, Sang Woo, who slowly becomes a scumbag. Like,
he's hundreds of millions of dollars in debt. He was always a scumbag.
I like more so. He just gets more scummier and more scummier as the show goes on.
Yeah.
Until the end.
Yep. Where he becomes
Redemption.
the ultimate scumbag. Listen here, brother.
Oh.
I'm looking out for me. You're going down.
But then he doesn't.
Oh,
He doesn't. He kills himself at the end.
That's not how it went.
What?
We're on episode 3, man. Come on.
All right. Well, anyway, everybody, if you're watching this, you should know how it happens anyway. So
yeah,
we'll get there because I actually have something to talk about with that.
Yeah. So 3, they do the cookies. 4 is when the doctor they show the doctor harvesting the organs. We kind of combined the 2 episodes.
Oh, 4 is the tug of war. Right.
You're right. 4 is tug of war with the 2 platforms. 5 is the aftermath.
Which again, the old man knew the strategy. We just like took it as okay. He just knew how to play tug of war.
It's not like he's seen this played for the past 80 years. He just had a feeling that this would work.
Yeah, and I think this is like the 30-something Squid Games.
Yeah. I just said 80 because I just remember the room full of binders, each one marked with years, and I think I want to say, I can't even remember if it was 70s or 80s when it started, but it makes sense that the games are from the 70s and 80s, and that's when it started. They just never updated the games type of deal.
Yeah. Either way, it was a lot.
Yeah. They've been doing this for a long, long time. Yeah, it was such an interesting idea with the high platforms.
Yeah.
And this is when I noticed like how big this building must be. Like the first room was huge.
Yeah.
That they did the stoplight in.
Yeah, big rooms.
When they're going to the cookie game, they're doing all these steps and hallways and
steps are so cool.
Yeah.
Again, like nice and colorful and bright and
crisscrossing every which way. It kind of reminded me of like Harry Potter with it didn't have moving the stairways, but they just went every which way. It looked like a maze.
The steps, it's actually based off of you've seen it, the illustration by MC Escher.
Mm-hmm.
He's not a rapper, MC. But it's called Relativity. And it's an illustration he did, just doodling. The color design for the steps in Squid Game. Oh, there it is.
In case you didn't know what it looked like, right there.
The color designs are actually based off an apartment block in Spain.
Nice. Yeah, the stairs were awesome, and it just shows how big this warehouse or whatever the hell this thing must be. I like when I don't remember what episode it is where they show from outside, like it's like the Thunderdome and the roof closes over top after I guess after red light, green light. It shows like the island and stuff. It's like, wow, they're nobody's finding them. They're screwed. Yeah. The rooms are huge. They do reuse the platforms in a later game.
Yeah, the glass bridge.
Yeah. They do
We'll get to-
reuse the red light, green light room later in the
Game.
episode for Squid Game. Yep.
Mhm.
And also it's where they're like storing. I guess it did. No, they had like giant playground stuff in there in one of the scenes where they confront the.
I think it's a different room.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah, I think that because it's smaller, with all
Oh
the
yeah.
giant playground equipment.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, so there's a lot of cool stuff in all these rooms. One of the things that they show in the barracks is on the walls are the paintings of all the games they're going to play, which in 9 episodes I did not notice at all until the rooms were empty and there was like 4 beds left. I was like, oh, look at that. Were those always there? Like,
Yeah, they're definitely always there. You can't tell what a lot of them are at first because there's so many beds.
right. Yeah, like you can see like tug of war is easy to tell what it is, but like the one for marbles and stuff like that, like
Yeah, yeah.
it,
No idea.
some of them are obscure even when you know the games. You're like, oh yeah, I guess that's that one, you know. But yeah, it was interesting finding all these things out after the fact, or on the very last episode when they start revealing stuff. You're like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Oh yeah, how'd I miss that? Oh yeah, that was obvious. Like, dummy.
Eh,
But yeah, so tug of war. The old man has seen this played hundreds of times, so he knows how to win. He knows what has won, you know, by probability the most. So yeah, there's the riot in episode 3 or 4. After tug of war, they're afraid there's going to be another riot, so episode 5 deals with them making the barricades. Yeah, they reminisce on their time outside of the Squid Game. It's more of a bonding episode, this one, where they're talking about their past and stuff like that. Yeah, it's more of a character building one, and this is where they cut into Jun-ho breaking into the front man's office, like you said, putting the phone down wrong. This is where we learn that it's been running for over 30 years because he gets into the lower.
Do you think it's
room.
30 years or is it like 30 games?
Wikipedia says 30 years.
Okay.
And that his elder brother, Hwang In-ho, is the winner in 2015. So this pulls back that his brother was in the games and he won. I think this is where I figured out that the front man was his brother, because if he won in 2015, paid off his apartment for, 10 years, and didn't show back, he's got to be running the game, or, they wouldn't have paid off the apartment if they killed him. So I think this is the episode where I realized, the front man is his brother, and that's why he's been gone, is because now he's running the Squid Games.
Yeah, it must have been something like that for me too. I don't remember exactly, but I just remember at some point I was like, oh, it's probably his brother.
Yeah. If we didn't figure it out by now, this was definitely the point where they gave it to us on a platter. Like, here's the answer. So, in episode 5, they also show, they also catch the workers that were harvesting the organs, cheating and giving information to the players. This is where we find out that the workers get killed if they break the rules, which is giving an unfair advantage to the team, which, they're like, hey, we're all bad guys here. We get that you want to make money on the side selling organs. That's fine. You do you.
But, yeah, they didn't even care about that part.
Don't fuck with my game. And then,
Yep.
The doctor guy is like, show me your face, and he takes off his mask, which is also a rule you're not allowed to break. If you take off your mask, you get killed instantly.
Yep.
Which happens a couple times where people show their face and then immediately get shot. So it's a cruel world, even to be a crook. So yeah, don't mess with the game.
Yeah, don't mess with the game. Very important.
Yeah. So the next episode 6, starts with everybody seeing all the people strung up that were workers, and the doctor.
Yeah.
And they make an announcement, don't mess with my game. Also, cheaters will be punished. Yeah, it's I think it's pronounced Canbu or something for the marble game. So this is episode 6 is it's a tough one to watch. You're watching all these people pair up and then they find out, hey, you and your best friend now have to choose who lives in a
Oh,
game of marbles. Like it's
see, that's the thing. They don't know that at first.
no, they just are told to pair up again, like they did with
Yeah.
tug of war. So they think, oh, it's a team game. We're both going to win. I want to be here with you till the end, so let's team up, type of deal. Um, so everybody starts thinking, okay, well, I want to be with somebody strong, the best player, so that we win
Right.
this. So Ji-hun keeps trying to find a player. The old man wants to join up with him, and he's like, oh, maybe we'll find other people for this one, because he doesn't
Yep.
want to be stuck with somebody weak in a game of strength or something. So
Yeah.
everybody else partners up. He sees player 001 sitting in the corner, basically rocking himself back and forth because he's freaking out. Oh, Kambu means trusted friend, not nothing to do with the marble game. That's me being dumb. Yeah, so he reluctantly has to pair up with 001. Then they find out the rules of the game are the two players are against each other. Only one of them will survive, and their game is any game of marble they choose. Each player
Whatever
gets
they
10
want.
marbles. Whoever gets 20 marbles leaves the arena alive, and the other person does not. He
Yep.
gets, or she gets, eliminated, which, as we learned very quickly in the first episode, means they're getting shot. They have an unlimited budget for bullets, apparently.
But again, we go through the scene. We don't see the old man get shot.
Yeah, so some people are playing, closest marble to the wall wins. There's a hole. Whoever gets closest to the hole wins or whatever. There's odds and evens. Where you bet how many marbles you want to guess on whether that person's holding an even amount or an odd amount.
Yeah. Which I thought that's like stressful.
Yeah, that's the most stressful way, where you're sitting there just trying to think, do I want to go even? There's two choices, and if I lose, I die, type of deal. Like it's definitely, at least the other ones are a game of skill or something, and it's not just luck with guessing. So this is where player 001 tells Ji-hun that he's a very trusted friend to him. They're Kambu, and makes it even harder for him to win. He doesn't want to kill his friend now, but
right.
He also sees that 001 has been showing signs of dementia, particularly when he knows that Ji-hun's about to lose and die, and he says, "What did you say? Did you say even or odd?"
Yeah.
After he already holds his hand open and shows him that it's odd, like the opposite of what he said. He's like, "Oh no, I definitely said that," and he's like, "Oh, then I guess you won." Which was crazy, and then it got crazier. As they're coming to terms with the old man dying, he's like, "Oh, I got another marble." It's like, no. Like they really stab you in the gut and twist the knife, like, oh, we got to do this again. Yeah, so they do it once more, and in the end the old man loses and must die. So rather than showing him dying, getting shot like everybody else, he stays behind the fence. Ji-hun comes out, and they just show his face as the old man gets shot.
Yep.
I said, oh, that's weird that they didn't show him dying, but I also figured they just want to convey the emotion in his face. At this point, I still didn't realize that the old man was running the whole thing. It was a roller coaster of a ride.
Yeah, it was a pretty intense episode.
Yeah, it had twists, it had turns, it had ups and downs. It was quite the wild ride. So next episode, 7, was when we get to meet the VIPs. and of course,
Yeah, those-
they are all old white men.
Yes,
So,
old, perverted, weird white men.
who saw that coming? That the whole thing was being funded and filmed and streamed to old white men that needed something to spend money on.
Well, yeah.
It's,
Yeah. I can't really say anything about it. That's exactly what it is. Wearing crazy animal mask.
yeah. For anonymity, yeah,
To be anonymous.
yes, that to do that thing.
And
with
also they chose animals to show that they're like the tougher, more controlling members
I'm a
of
lion.
society.
I'm a bear.
You know, the guards were ants, you know.
Yeah, I'm sensing a theme. So yeah, VIPs show up. The detective Jun Ho poses as a masked servant. One of the guys with the mask takes a liking to him. Yeah, it gets crazy. But on the other side, the more important and entertaining side, the fifth game is revealed, which is, what do they actually call it with the glass floor?
Glass floor.
That's all they called it. Or at least that's what the translation said, right? So it's you've all seen this, that's why you're listening. But the platforms with the glass floors, you got two choices, left or right. One of them can support the weight, one can't. So you start jumping, fighting whoever's going to jump. The time's ticking away. They're afraid to do it. One old guy comes up like, "Oh, I worked at glass for all my life. I can tell by looking at it that which one is tempered glass and which one can support the weight because it's going to have whatever properties with reflecting the light and stuff like that off of it." So he goes ahead. He starts crouching down, looking. They get a couple squares ahead of where they were, and then the front man's like, "Oh, would you look at that?" And then they're all talking like, "Oh, it looks like he's looking. He can tell by looking at the glass which one's which."
Right.
And so the front man's like, "Yeah, screw that." Kills the lights. Now they're in the dark. Now they can't tell which is tempered glass and which one's not. So yeah, they're back to just guessing where to go. Yeah. So at this point, I forget how many players there are, but
16.
16 players at this point, and only
think so,
three get to the other platform. So Jihan, Sangwoo, and Sebyak.
Yeah.
Whatever, however you say that name. But
I don't know.
yeah. So this is this had a funny death in it, if you could say that phrase, but where the guy with the tattoo on his face is, bullying people as he does, and the crazy lady says, whatever he said to her earlier, she says back to him, and then tackles him and kills them both, which I found hilarious twist of fate that happened. So, yeah, so he's one of the ones that get out at this point, and then yeah, so as all three players get across, you see all the remaining glass explode and go away. So if the timer would have run out, anyone still on those platforms would have they would have had the glass break beneath them and die anyway. So there's no getting around if you made it or not. So yeah. When they explode, you see the glass flying. This is probably the only part that had CGI instead of practical effects, where super fake glass flying at their faces, cutting them, and they're covering, and chunks of glass injuring them and stuff like that. So it's an intense scene after the struggle of crossing the bridge. Some cool.
I like that one a lot. That was one of those ones where if it was a movie, they couldn't have fleshed out the tenseness of it, because it took a while for them to get across.
Yeah, I think they only had 15 minutes, but that 15 minutes was like 15 minutes of actual film time. Like,
yeah,
yeah,
almost.
It was It was crazy. The bodies hitting the ground and limbs going every which direction, and some of them, they're zooming in, and you see some of them are still alive, and it's like,
Yeah, like twitching.
yeah, it's gruesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't imagine why some people couldn't sit through this whole show.
Well, it's gruesome, but I could easily watch it.
Yeah, I get it, but also they did some cool deaths in this. It was well done.
Such a simple concept, the whole thing.
Yeah, very simple. Kids games, people in a small
deadly.
confined space, what would happen? Like nothing is out of the realm of possibility. Everything's very realistic and easy to go into, like easy to believe could and could have happened. Yeah, nothing insanely crazy.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Everybody's dying by a pistol or by a large fall. Like,
yeah. So the one thing about, so I'm trying to figure out, because I can't remember back, maybe you can help me. So on the bridge game, where is
no
it?
memory.
Well, you can help me.
Yeah.
Where's my note here? So apparently the second episode foreshadowed players' deaths. So I will talk about Sang-Woo's in a minute, but apparently the bridge, the guy with the tattoo on his face, whatever his name was.
Okay.
Something happens in the second episode that foreshadows him dying on a bridge.
Yeah, so him and the pickpocket are on the bridge and they're arguing about her getting her cut or something like that. I forget exactly what it was. But yeah, I think at that point he says a phrase that you also hear him say to the crazy lady that then she says to him and tackles him off the bridge to kill him in the end.
Yeah, that was crazy.
If we were better at this, I would have written down what that was.
Yeah, but
or if we would have done this a month and a half ago instead of waiting for the tracksuits, that would have been awesome.
Yeah. Well, the girl also doesn't die on the bridge, but doesn't she die because of the bridge when everything explodes, right? Doesn't she get like a piece of glass?
She gets a piece of glass stuck in her side.
Which eventually causes her, she like bleeds out, right?
No. The crazy guy from school kills her with the steak knife while Jihan is trying to get to the door and get someone to get her medical attention.
That's right. But she was hurt badly from the bridge.
Right. She had a giant piece of glass in her abdomen and it was a lot of blood. She could barely eat their victorious steak dinner that they were brought because she just didn't have the energy from loss of blood and stuff. So she would have died by the morning either way. But yeah, it was.
Yeah, so
it was tough.
There's foreshadowing, but they also foreshadowed Sang-Woo in that second episode as well.
Yep.
We'll get to that when we talk about Squid Game.
So episode 7 was the glass bridge. Episode 8, this is where the steak knife where they eat their steaks.
Yep.
Where Jihan tries to form an alliance with the girl.
Mm-hmm.
And them two versus Sang-Woo. Instead, she begs Jihan not to kill him in the night because he's like, I'm just going to kill him now, so it's just us, because he's going to kill us if we don't kill him first.
Right.
She talks him out of it, saying he's not a murderer. Don't stoop down to his level, basically. So he's like, all right, you're injured. Let's get you help. And that's when that's when
Sang-Woo.
That's when Sang-Woo, he's pretending he's sleeping. Jihan goes to get help. Sang-Woo's faking it. He sneaks over, kills her. So now it's old school best friends fighting each other in the final game, which is the Squid Game.
This episode, still don't get that game.
I don't think people in Korea get that game. Yeah, so at this point, we go to the side story, the side quest on this wild ride that
The cop.
the detective is found out, sneaks off to another island. They track him down. He's on top of a mountain edge cliff where he can't get away. And this is where there is a big reveal on the front man is his brother.
Yeah. But there's also that whole thing that's going on with him and the higher up guys, the VIP people in their animal mask. Like the ones all creepy and perverted, like trying to get him to do things with him. And he's just like a waiter. Like so weird. Like it was so unnecessary.
It's where he gets found out. If not previously, when he's being all shady and looking at the cameras and stuff, it's like, well, they would have seen this guy. They would have pictures of who should be in that costume, just like they do of all the players. Like,
yeah.
So that it's kind of far fetched that they didn't figure out it was him sooner. Just like we talked about, where he keeps messing up, and everyone's just like, "Oh, you just forgot what you're supposed to do for your job. That's all." I like that he promotes himself and steals someone else's mask. That I had to chuckle out of that.
Yeah.
He's like, you know what? I want to hold a gun now. Let me kill someone with a gun and take their mask.
I guess there's a chance the cop could come back for a second season if they do one.
Yeah, so they kill him in an interesting way. They shoot him, and rather than taking a dive, he's like, "No, I'm strong. I'm going to stay up." And they shoot him again, and he goes over the cliff and falls. I can't remember if they actually show him dying or not, but
I don't think they show it. They just show him fall off the cliff into the water.
Yeah.
It's pretty high
so at that point, it's a gunshot from a big ass gun that probably blew right through him. So as long as he can keep pressure on it and make some sort of tourniquet, he could theoretically have survived, or if somebody came out to rescue him or something,
Yeah.
But it's one of those things like the old man, where if you don't see it, did it really happen type of deal.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, I guess they could really do whatever they want with him if they decide the second season's happening, which I think it is, but
Yep.
It wasn't originally planned that way, but it does seem like there will be.
Yep.
Him and his bright red hair.
Hey, we didn't get to that part yet. So yeah, they get double crossed in the night. He pretends to sleep, decides to kill the girl, and then there were two. I think at this point, doesn't the front man just say, "All right, well, let's just end this now and play the last game"? Like they don't go back to sleep, right?
Yeah, I think that's it. They just go into it.
Yeah. So
they play the Squid Game, and it's basically the last one to get out of the box standing wins. So fight to the death.
Yeah, when they play it in the very first scene of the show, it's kids on a team, and you have to crisscross and hop on a foot crossing here and knock it.
Right.
It's basically like a game of tag, within a shape that looks more like a house than a squid.
Yeah.
But it all makes sense to them, which is fine. I'm sure people look at American games and are like, "What is that? That doesn't make sense." So, yeah, we can't really talk about someone else's game that we don't understand, that
I don't get the game.
only seen for 15 seconds on a show. So, it's not like we've been given any information on how it's supposed to go. We just know, in the beginning as a kid, he just charges past the guy to get to the head, knocking him down, and while they're like tearing at his shirt and stuff, he gets past him.
Yeah.
In the final showdown, it starts out like they're going to be playing the game, and it quickly just changes into standing in the middle and brawling.
Yeah, it's not a bad fight. It starts raining.
Yeah, because they decided to open the roof since they're back in the red light, green light room.
Right. So,
because who checks the weather? Let's just let it flood out.
I've checked the weather like twice since we started recording this.
Yeah. I forgot.
So they play the Squid Game. Oh, you're looking?
Continue.
They get into their fight with each other. And this is, I guess, this is Sang-woo's redemption arc. Because, Gi-hun isn't going to do anything. He's not going to end the game by killing his old friend. So Sang-woo does it for him. He takes the knife or whatever it is and just jams it into his own neck, and Ji-hun wins, and there it is. He wins all that won.
He won the won.
He won the won. So in the second episode, Sang-woo, remember when he's sitting in the tub with his suit on?
Yeah, trying to kill himself.
Yeah. That was his foreshadow for his own, because when he dies, he's in his suit in the rain, getting soaking wet.
Yeah.
Knife in his neck. So that was the other foreshadow in that episode with the bridge people. Anyway, when he does it and Ji-hun wins, and they let him go. But
yep.
It's not even like, I think that's the beginning of the 9th episode.
Yeah. So, yeah, I guess when you're saying he kills himself, I forgot that he stabs himself in the neck.
Yeah, because Ji-hun's not a killer. That girl already established that for us.
Yep.
So, yeah, so then he wins, and then it looks like he becomes homeless.
Yeah. So here's the
thing. He finds his mother. His mother passed away while he was playing Squid Game.
Yeah. Which in one of the previous episodes they went over, she was too sick and too poor to go to the hospital and pay for the bill, so she checked herself out of the hospital. Her feet were, infected, and it was, going throughout her body.
Isn't that why he decides to play the Squid Game again? Isn't that like the deciding factor to get back in?
Yeah. So one of the reasons why he wanted to join back in the game was because of his mom's health. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So after Ji-hun defeats him in a brutal fight but refuses to kill him, he's begging them to stop the game using their third clause, saying, stop it. We don't want to continue it. We'll forfeit the money. And that's where Sang-woo stabs himself in the neck, like you said. And he asks Ji-hun to take care of his mother before dying.
Right.
His last dying wish. And then we see him get out. His mom has now died. He has a bank card with all the money in it. He checks it. He sees all the money's there. And then it cuts to a year later, and this is where you're saying he looked homeless.
Yeah, he didn't touch the money at all. Remember, the bank even brought him in. They're like, "You have not touched anything in this bank account in a year."
Yeah, and he's like, "Is that a problem?" They're like, "No." Yeah, so he hasn't touched the money, which is crazy because I thought he would have given everyone who's died's family money. Would have taken care of everyone. Done something. And then you're like, oh yeah, wait, this whole time we forgot that he has a daughter that he could have
he was this close to get on the plane to go see her.
Yeah, so all this stuff is happening. He's ignoring that he has the money, acknowledging it because of all the death. He also hasn't spent any of it, hasn't given it to any of the people he was close with. He just ignores it and I guess disappears. I guess since his mom's dead, nobody really is looking for him other than the bookies and stuff. So he's kind of just wandering around after going to the bank, and then he sees the guy from the beginning playing the origami pong game again. Or I guess that's later, because first he does he meets with his Kanbu. I can't remember what his real name was, so I just 001. He meets 001 in a hospital room where he's on his deathbed, literally. Yeah. And while he's there, asking him why he created the game, why he's running the game, and all that. And he basically says, because I'm rich and bored. He says, see that homeless guy down there? I bet you by midnight, the end of the hour, Nobody helps that guy. So yeah, I'm saying this guy's terrible because he wins the money, doesn't distribute it to people's families and help them out, like he said. Like the girl, the pickpocket, had a sibling, a little brother that he could have helped save.
And he said he would.
He said he would. He didn't give any money to the guy who killed himself, so he could have the money. He didn't give any to his mom. So it's a year later where all these people are even more despair and worse place than they were. Now he's in this room making wagers on this guy's life that if somebody helps him, he can kill the old man or whatever the deal was. Whole time I'm thinking, like, just go down there and help the guy and you prove your point and then you come back up and win the bet. Like, but no, he just stands there staring at him, sitting in a chair, staring at the guy, waiting for people to help. It's one thing after another. We're like, just do something, anything.
Something.
Not because it was a slow story point, but like, don't be a terrible person. He's like, nah, I'm a terrible person. I'm gonna keep being a terrible person, type of deal. At some point, somebody does help the homeless guy, right? Or do they just collect the body after it's dead? I can't remember. I remember somebody coming over and then like leaving, and then when they come back, the police car pulls up. But I can't remember if it's because the guy was helped or not. But yeah, basically, I think the guy gets helped, and then Gian gets his wish of turning around, and the old man dies. So he didn't. Yeah. He's still not a murderer, which is the whole point of the whole show. Like the theme throughout is he's not a murderer. Even with how badly he wanted to kill the person that created the game, and finding out it was 001, with the big twist, he knew he couldn't kill him, so he let himself go, or however you want to look at it. But he stopped fighting to stay alive. So old man dies. He finally realizes there's good in humanity, seeing the homeless guy get saved. So this is where he finally spends some money on some hair dye, as you mentioned. He does go find the brother and get him out of the group home. He takes the brother to the best friend's mom and gives her a suitcase full of money, which she just assumes is the kids' clothes. And so did I, until she brings it inside and opens it and sees it's full of money. And a note saying, please take care of him, or with the translations, you never actually know what it actually says, but it was something along those lines, I'm sure. It was great that he finally came around and took care of the people like he said he was going to, and did the things he was going to. The red hair was definitely a surprise. I did not see that coming. And then what part was next, where he's where he buys the flowers with the card for the next invitation, or was it how's he find out about the second games?
I honestly don't remember. I want to say he just had the first card originally.
So he's trying to. I just remember him being on the beach and the lady giving him a rose or something with the card on it.
Yeah.
Or was that when they first came back into the games? That might have been when they first rejoined the games in like episode 2. So I guess after he drops off the kid and the prize money, Gian travels to the airport with his red ass hair to reconnect with his daughter.
Looks so bad.
So she's living in America with her mom. Oh, yeah. He won all this money and doesn't fight for custody. He just disappears rather than...
they're in America. They established that early on.
Yeah. So they're in America. He hasn't seen her in a year. Hasn't talked to her in a year, we can presume, since he, disappeared.
Didn't have a home.
On his own fruition. Like he just said, you know what? I've got $450 and 45,600,000,000. I'm just gonna peace out and not spend any of it and live under a bridge. So
Pretty much.
he finally gets his shit together and decides to go visit his daughter for her birthday again, since it's a year
Yeah.
later. So you see him in the airport, headed to Los Angeles.
All packed.
They're calling his gate number, and he sees the game recruiter in one of the tunnels playing the origami pong with someone. Yeah, they make eye contact, and then he runs over and says, "Where'd this guy go? Like what blah blah?" Like trying to find out information.
Yeah.
He's like, "Oh, he gave me this card," and he takes the card, and then he calls the number.
Oh, that's right.
He calls the number, and they say, "We've been watching you. Just get on the plane." And you're like, "Yeah, get on the plane. Go see your daughter." He doesn't.
And he
on the
doesn't.
plane. No.
He turns around to go sing for that Korean pop group with his haircut. What are they called? BTS?
Yeah, something like that. Yep.
Yeah. And then presumably setting up a second season.
Yeah. So he ends the call and returns to the terminal instead of continuing up the little tube to the plane.
So stupid. Like not like I didn't like not like the ending. I just mean like that decision as a person is just so stupid.
The character development of, you know what? I'm just gonna not go see my daughter for her birthday, and I'm gonna go back to trying to get into this game. Yeah. So I got a question for you.
Okay.
How many slaps would you have made it in the origami pong game? I keep calling it
You know what?
because it's called Dokji or Doki or something. How many slaps to the face do you think you would have made it?
I have no idea.
I know how many I would have made it. Do you know why I know that?
Why?
You know why I would know that.
Oh, I do know why. But that involves some other things besides just money and origami squares.
Yeah, if it had money in it, I probably would have continued more rounds.
I did not play the game. Exactly.
No, you just watched.
I watched. Yes. I don't know. I don't think I've never even been like punched in the face.
Yeah, I've been told I just have one of those faces. So
if you agree, put it in the comments.
Dick. I mean Nick.
it's with an N. That's right.
Yeah.
No idea. So I don't have an answer for you, and I'm sorry that I'm not going to find out.
Yeah, well, one day, maybe when we do the cookie game, we'll.
I was just thinking when we do the cookie thing, we should
You're
do
gonna
the
smack
origami.
me in the face out of nowhere.
I was just gonna say we should see if we could flip the card, the origami thing. We should do that too. There's two things I didn't mention while we were doing this. Just as two more fun little facts I found when I was like reading about this stuff. Number one, the original title of the show was not Squid Game. Any idea what it may have been called?
Marbles. I'm a bad father.
No.
Show me the money.
No, that's Jerry Maguire. No, that's it. Round 6. Not as good.
Yeah, because there's 6 games.
Yeah, not as good though. Not as good as it.
I'm pretty sure the title might have already been taken, and that's why they didn't go with it. I feel like there's a lot of fighting movies that have like
Maybe
round 6. There's 6 bullets. There's 13 guns. Like there's a lot of fighting movies where I wouldn't be surprised if round 6 was already taken.
it probably is.
Bloodsport round 6. Yeah,
Oh,
the
God.
sequel nobody knew existed.
There's so many of those now. No, I'm thinking of Kickboxer.
Yeah, same thing.
The second thing we didn't get to mention, the original idea for the guards was to have them look like Boy Scouts.
That's a lot less scary.
It is,
Unless they look like Angus Young in a kids outfit of Boy Scouts, like short shorts and a clip-on tie.
They decided not to go with it because it showed off too much of the figures of the guys instead of making them all like look
Anonymous
the same
looking.
Yeah. But that
Makes
was
sense.
the other thing. Those are my two little fun facts that
Yeah,
didn't get mentioned.
if those are the reasons, if those were a part of the original story he was shopping, I could see why it took him over 8 years to get it bought, and then with yeah, everything going on.
Yeah.
So less than a minute.
Well, I think we've hit everything we can about Squid Game. Thanks
Yeah.
for watching.
Now give
This
us
has
the
been
money.
Nick. That's Jerry Maguire.
Okay.
Maguire.
Yeah.
But yeah, hey, check us out on socials. Everything's at Ready Viewer One, YouTube, Instagram, Snapchat. No, not Snapchat. Maybe
No.
TikTok, Twitter.
Yeah.
That's it. And we have our own website, readyviewer1.com.
Yep. So at Ready Viewer One everywhere, and
Everywhere.
we'll see you in the next one. Are we doing gang signs now? Is that our thing? Next
don't know.
week, best
could've
gang
done-
movie.
Oh God.
Gangs of New York is the only one I can think of.
Gang
Serpico.
Oh,
Anything with Al Pacino.
Deuce is Wild.
Blazing Saddles.
The Outsiders. Blazing
Are we doing this
Saddles.
game again?
Blazing Saddles. The Western comedy.
So's Gangs of New York.
What?
It's cowboys and Indians in New York City.
Okay, yeah. I guess you're right.
It's a dirt floor.
Well, yeah, everything was a dirt floor then.
Exactly. So, get off my back.
Let me get off that thing.